Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Vacuum Exposition. I, of course, am Carl again as per usual, and we are continuing our series this month on JC Penney's labeled or related or sold machines. Now, before we get into that, and before anybody questions anything, we will be getting onto more different machines in a couple weeks here. Just for those that didn't know, we are doing a series on JCPenneys machines just because I am a huge fan of them. I'm one of the big collectors of the JCPenneys as well as Montgomery Wards and other private labels. So that's what we are doing the rest of the month, and then starting in March we will be looking at a new series of machines that I cannot wait to go over with you guys because I have been waiting to do that particular series for a while now. So anywho, let's get on to our video for today, and I think this is something you're really gonna like. All right, everybody, so for today's video, we're not bringing you just one vacuum for Vacuum Exposition, but two, count them, two vacuums for today. Now, both of these are very related to each other in a very certain way. Now, I can tell from the looks on your faces that you know that these are very much different machines. But there is something very significant about these two. Now let me take you back to the year 1976. The mid-70s, our country's bicentennial. Other companies were putting out machines that had fancy patriotic bags, like Hoover with their bicentennial edition convertible, or Eureka had their own bicentennial edition, uprights. They had several different ones, but we were at a time in our nation's history that was very important. Several different companies were releasing things in very patriotic colorways and looks, and you know, why wouldn't we? You know, it was a great year for vacuums, cars, everything. So you know, music, obviously, of course, but vacuum cleaners, of course, were no different. Now, JCPenneys in 1976 had a really, really colorful lineup that came out. And both of these machines were included in that lineup. Now, both of these machines were made by Eureka. JCPenneys, if you didn't know already, they did contract with both Eureka and Hoover to make their uprights. Last week we looked at a Hoover made upright. This week we are looking at two Eureka made products from the same 1976 lineup. Now this first one is a model 3552. Now many will recognize this as the same style as the Eureka Sweet 16 canisters, or maybe the Rotomatic or the Power Team canisters that would come a little bit later, that body style. And this is the 1450, and this would have essentially been a Eureka Princess canister, and both of which having their different options as well as features. Now, I say that they are from the same ad literally because within the 2-page ads, you'll see both of them. And I'll show the ad for this little one first, right here. And then I'll show the ad for this one right here. Now, in case you didn't notice, it is a centerfold ad, so you would have seen 2 pages in the JCPenney's catalog to be able to open to this. This was also a really big deal of a catalog ad because they were in full color. A lot of the times in these catalogs, we only got black and white, mostly because that was usually cheaper to mass produce. So color was a big deal for this 1976 ad. But like I said, 1976 was a big deal for a lot of the companies out there, so they wanted to make it an extra special ad for an extra special year. Now, both of these machines unfortunately are not complete. If you haven't noticed, they are canisters, but they lack their original hoses as well as most of their attachments. Now, the 3552 would have had a 9-piece tool set that would have gone on this little rack right here. It also, and I'll show right here, would have come with a power nozzle. You might have noticed that in the ad as well. So this was a pretty deluxe canister back in the 1970s. However, it did lack one big feature that other canisters of Eureka make did have, and that is the cord winder. Now, a lot of the times these canisters would feature a cord winder right at the back. But this one just has a little plug right here, and there's your cord. So what you would have been meant to do is wrap this around maybe one of the tools as well as the bottom foot, and that would have been how you would have wrapped your cord. I went ahead and did it as just a regular cord wrap and would just kind of hook it on there. But that's basically what this one was. I got this one off of an eBay auction a long time ago. And of course, like I said, it only came with the canister as well as one tool. So unfortunately, it wasn't complete, but being as we just don't see these machines, I couldn't pass it up at the time. So this is a really cool machine. Of course, just like other JC Penney's machines, it did come in this brown color, but I also knew that it looked really cool with their the logoing and the kind of the yellow and orange branding right here on the top. Now, for the little 1450, the cool thing about this one, it is a princess-based Eureka canister, which would have been your more budget canister, so you wouldn't have gotten a lot of other options. However, you did have a power selector on this one, and I'll show that right up here. So what you could do is you could switch between your dusting and upholstery, your floors and rugs, or your drapes and curtains. That way, you know, if you needed to change the airflow, you could. And some of those little canisters from back in that time period, all you had was an on and off switch and maybe a suction diverter on the hose itself. Now this little guy does have something special that came with it, and I will show it right in the back here. So what you're looking at here is essentially a removable attachment caddy that would have gone over your bag setup. So what we can see kind of in here, now it does have one of its original tools, just like the other one has one. Now with this one, you would have gotten the following tools. You would have gotten your dusting brush that it does have, thankfully. You would have gotten a crevice tool, a floor tool. You would have gotten a small upholstery tool, as well as a hard surface or hard floor tool that would have all mounted in here. Now, unfortunately, like I said, I do not have these, unfortunately, but I still am on the hunt for them. And most of the time, these attachment caddies are usually gone. So when I got this one from a good friend of mine, I was very, very happy to at least have that in there. So that is what you would get in one of these little canisters from the 70s, from Eureka, as well as the JC Penney's. Now the colorway on this one, now like I said, they're both in the same run, and it was a very colorful run. So you wouldn't really think that they are in the same group, but trust me, they are. The main piece that you can probably take away from these two to make them relatable is the lettering. They both had yellow lettering. A lot of machines had this yellow lettering on their decals. Now, these in terms of horsepower were pretty close. This had 1.5, where this had 2. So they did have very close amounts of suction as well as horsepower. So they really were good little competitors, and you know, they did sell a good amount of these. Now, this day and age, we don't see a lot of these old JC Penney's labeled machines, just like the other ones that we've already looked at. You know, people bought them and they unfortunately got traded in and thrown away or scrapped eventually. So it's very important we still see some of these in the vacuum collecting community, as well as just for the historical aspect of it. Back when there was a time where, you know, big box stores had a lot of pride in their name, and they wanted them on even something as mundane as the vacuum cleaner. So this is definitely a cool little piece. I love the color because it does match the sports car that my dad has. It's kind of this rally gold butterscotch color, and then we have this one that's in that metallic brown color, which I love anything metallic. So very, very happy to have found these. This one came from my friend Gary. He lives over in the Mukilteo area of Washington. He has helped me find a lot of machines over the years, and definitely happy that he asked me if I wanted this little guy. So very, very thankful to have those. So next up we have, all right, so we now have our run demo, and as you can probably tell, it's going to be a little hard to do a run demo with machines that don't have hoses, unfortunately, but I'm still going to turn them on, let you hear them. They are pretty quiet machines, so they're not going to break the eardrums, but I will, of course, test their suction and try to change the power selector just to see, you know, show you guys how that would work, and then we will go from there. Okay, so first up we have the little 1450 Eureka Princess based machine. It's already plugged in, ready to go. I've got it set for rugs and floors, but I will change it as it does change the amount of suction. Kind of hard to tell, but you'll definitely hear a change, I think. So let's turn it on to the basic, most used position on the power selector. Now that was just your rugs and floors. This thing has a lot of power. It moves a lot of air. But I'm gonna change it to draperies and curtains. That would be your most, well, the delicates, of course. Now, it did sound like it was still moving a lot of air, but I assure you the suction was not nearly as much as you would with the floor tool or floors and rugs and whatnot, just because, well, you can't be sucking up the old curtains and whatnots and ripping them apart. Now, I will now change it to the dusting and upholstery, which, you know, for this little machine, it definitely kicks the power up a notch, because it'll suck my arm right into the machine if I had it absolutely wasn't paying attention. As you can see, that thing really sucks the hand all the way into that attachment port. So very, very powerful little canister. So very impressed with it, and I'm really hoping to find another hose for it because, man, does this have a lot of power. So let's move on to the 3552. Now, we have the 3552 here. One other little feature that Eureka did come out with that I kind of forgot to mention earlier was this right here. Now, this is a latch that would allow you to lock in the hose just in case, you know, you got the front wheel stuck underneath the carpet or something. That would basically make it so that, you know, the hose didn't just get yanked out. This is a big, kind of a heavier canister, so if you were pulling on that hose, you could definitely easily just, in the middle of vacuuming, and then pop, there goes the hose. So Eureka came out with this little latch that I actually thought wasn't original at first until I saw some more detailed pictures of some machines like this. So they did that just so that, you know, you never had to worry about the hose popping out while you're in the middle of using it. So really cool little innovation for this model. Now, these are pretty quiet. Just like the other one, actually, the Princess was a little bit more loud in my opinion, but this particular machine is a little bit more quieter. I think maybe that's just because the sound on the inside of it has a little bit more space to disperse. So, you know, you do have a little bit more cavernous inside of it. And just take a quick look at the inside of it right here, actually. As you can see, aside from the motor and the bag, you know, it's quite cavernous on the inside of this. So that sound just kind of reverberates inside before it makes it to the ear. So it is a bit more quiet, I will say, but still has a lot of power to move air. And I will turn that on. Now, this one doesn't have a power selector like the other one, so I don't have to test that. But I will, of course, turn it on and demonstrate the suction on it. So as you can see, this thing definitely has a good amount of power. Even though this doesn't have the attachments on it, you can definitely feel the very strong airflow right at the hose port. So, but either way, I hope you guys enjoyed our little run demo, at least just to see, you know, kind of these two machines still out there and about and able to be plugged in and ran. So let's continue on from here. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed our little expose today on these two beautiful examples of vacuum cleaners from the 1970s. 1976, like I said, was a big year for everybody, so I am super, super impressed to see what they came out with just for the JC Penney's line alone for vacuum cleaners. So I hope you guys all enjoyed our little video for today. It was certainly really fun, and I'm super happy to have been able to get these machines out again. They have been sitting on the shelf in my shop for a while, and I've been waiting for the perfect moment. I figured, you know, with this month's series going on, what not a better time to get these things out and fire them up again. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you again next week.